I, 21F, live in a house shared with 3 other girls, Sally, 20F, Holly, 21F, and Lisa, 21F. All of us, except for Lisa, went to school together. Holly and I were, and still are, fairly close. Lisa is Holly's cousin, whom I've known for years. Sally is someone we've always known and got along well with, but she's not really a close friend. She needed a place to live, and we needed a roommate. While we all tend to run in different circles, everyone knows everyone where we live. So, while I wouldn't hang out with the same small group as Lisa or Sally, we end up at the same parties and know the same people. Anyway, Sally has recently been dating someone new. She's kind of embarrassed about her past boyfriends, so we didn't pry. Also, she has a tendency to be dramatic as hell, which can get exhausting if you get sucked in, so we tend to stay out of her business a lot. He has a fairly generic name, we'll call him Tom, not sure about his age, but he's in his 20s. She's been dating Tom for 4 months now, but they hadn't smashed with each other, that is, until last night. Holly, Sally, and I have a WhatsApp group for the 3 of us. Lisa isn't in it, I think because Sally started the group, and those 2 aren't close at all. Sally messaged us last night to mention she was having a friend over, wink wink nudge nudge, and asked if we were okay with it. We were both at a bar and said, great, go for it. They had a good time, I guess, because in the morning, we received a message in the same group saying, guys, Tom and I lost our virginities to each other last night, and I'm so happy, followed by a biblical arc's worth of emojis. Now, I'm sitting here baffled by this message when Holly knocks on my bedroom door, comes in, and asks me how on earth Sally has managed to lose her virginity twice. Sally is a Christian. She's very devout when you ask her about her religion, but not that great in practice. This has nothing to do with any of us girls, so we don't care. But this was kind of weird. We were a little dumbfounded but went downstairs and made coffee. A couple of hours later, we hear Sally walk downstairs and a guy's voice in the background. They pop their heads in, and Sally says, "Hi guys, this is Tom." He quickly says hello and then leaves. Jesus Christ, I recognize this guy, and we've smashed before. Sally sits down, and we ask her about the virginity thing in a friendly, funny way. She tells us no, because she is Christian, she is a virgin. She says her past boyfriends treated her so badly that she had cleansed her life of them and ended a virgin again. We're apparently also ignoring the several one-night stands I've overheard through my bedroom ceiling. So we ask if she's told Tom that she's a virgin. She says, yes, because I am, and he's a virgin too, so I thought it would sound better. I've dealt with her denial issues before, but this is quite a new level. Sally leaves, and I quickly turn to Holly and tell her I've slept with him. As I mentioned before, Holly and I are close, but we know a lot of the same people. Holly tells me that she's been to a party with him also and that Lisa slept with Tom at that party. So what do I do? At first, I felt bad for the guy for being lied to about Sally's virginity, but now he's doing the same thing? And the fact that 75% of our house has slept with him is a little icky. I thought for a split second that maybe we should get Tom to sleep with Holly so she doesn't feel left out. Joking, of course. Update 1. Hi everyone, I think anyone who read the original post guessed it wouldn't be long before I had an update, but even I didn't think it'd be this quick. Since Sally lost her virginity, Tom has been staying over almost every night. This is fine with all of us, though it's a bit awkward. There's an unspoken rule in our house that boyfriends are allowed over whenever, without anyone needing to clear it first. If we see each other during the day, it's courteous to mention, oh, by the way, so-and-so is coming over later today, but no one has an issue if it's not brought up prior to the visit. They're not sleeping in any communal areas, and we have enough bathrooms that shower time is never an issue. So Tom has been in the house most evenings, but we've barely seen him. They're still in the weird stage of their relationship, where they only leave the bedroom for snacks, Powerade, and to wash their sheets, I hope, so it's not like anyone's avoiding anyone. 2 days ago, Tom must have been at work because Sally was alone in the house, eating lunch. Holly and I were on our way out, about to go shopping, when Sally asked if she could tag along. We said sure, we were just going to get shampoo and toiletries, but she said that was fine because she only needed to get one specific thing. When we got to the mall, Holly went to get an eye test, and I was planning on just browsing for some work clothes, but Sally grabbed my arm and said, "You have to help me," while giggling, and dragged me into a store. Guys, it was a costume shop with some adult options, and she wanted to find an attractive nun costume. I felt like a deer in headlights, paralyzed not with fear, but with sheer inappropriateness and discomfort. I just stood there nodding, fighting the urge to laugh hysterically and cry simultaneously, and looking for an escape route while she weighed the pros and cons of different Catholic-themed outfits to bring into the bedroom. I got home, popped a straw in a bottle of wine, and told Holly about my traumatizing experience. She howled with laughter. Moving on to today. About 30 minutes ago actually. Sally had a really early start at work and had to leave before Tom woke up. While I was eating breakfast, he walked into the kitchen and looked pretty shocked to see me. We said hi awkwardly, made small talk about the weather, and asked each other about school and work. I assumed that would be it, but then he addressed the elephant in the room. He said, "Hey, I don't want this to be awkward about us hooking up in the past. I haven't told Sally, and I don't know if you were planning on telling her. To which I replied, no, I wasn't planning on it. That's your business. Okay, great. It's just that I'm worried she'll freak out, but I don't want to lie to her. Okay, this next bit kind of slipped out because I'm not really a morning person, and I've had to listen to the faint sounds of creepy religious honeymoon intimacy for 4 days now. Well, maybe telling her you're a virgin wasn't the best idea then. Huh, what are you talking about? Turns out, he didn't tell her he was a virgin. I don't know if she made it up in her head, really believes it, or knows everything, but Tom assured me he had never told her he was a virgin. He assumed I'd heard Sally wrong. Then he said something about Sally being a virgin and maybe feeling ashamed. I tried so hard not to make any kind of facial expression, but mornings are not my happy place, and it must have shown. Tom asked me if Sally really was a virgin, and I just mumbled, you should talk to her about it, and, I don't actually know because, in my defense, I've never seen her do it with my own 2 eyes, but it's a pretty BS defense, so sorry Tom, my bad, I panicked. He said goodbye to me and walked off, furiously texting. So yeah, I'll probably be updating this again. Edit. Okay, I kid you not, we've just had the police at the door. Sally was apparently caught trying to break into Tom's house after he told her to leave him alone and threatened to call the police. Except he hadn't threatened, he'd done it. She resisted arrest and was popped in a nice little cell at about 2 a.m. She looks exhausted, bless her, but I guess a day's stalking will do that to you. She looks really sad, and I feel so bad for her. Holly's running her a bath now, and I'm going to make some tea. I don't know what happened between them, but it looks like it fell on the not-so-chill side of the scale. I'll update later when I get a better grasp of things. Update 2. Okay guys, here we go. Safety belts on, hands and feet in the cart at all times. Sally's asleep in bed now, and a lot of details came to light. So, the police dropped Sally off at home, and they asked to have a quick chat with me about what happened while Holly took Sally upstairs to get changed and do whatever else she needed to do. The officer told me that Tom called the police at 1 a.m. because Sally was harassing him over the phone and throwing rocks at his window. By the time they got there, Tom had called 3 more times, and Sally was climbing up a fence and shimmying over onto the kitchen roof. They tried to talk her down, but she was screaming and crying. They thought she might be on some sort of illegal substance, but I told them it's just her personality and a bit of caffeine usually. I laughed, he didn't. Anyway, she tried to struggle when they restrained her and went to kick one of the officers. At that point, they were done being sympathetic, and they put her in the police car and into a cell. She's absolutely tiny, so they didn't have to use force or anything. She's fine, I promise. They asked us to contact her parents because she refused to give them any contact details for her family. She would only tell them her address where she lives with us. And guess who's off work this week and gets to play babysitter? Once they left, we got her in the bath, and Holly and I sat on the bathroom floor talking to her about what happened. She was just crying into the bath, looking so sad and vulnerable, and I felt really awful for mocking her on this sub and stuff. Then she started explaining. We asked what happened. Sally said Tom texted her while she was at work, saying we need to talk after work, and she immediately panicked because it's Sally. She blew up his phone. She didn't tell me this, she said she left him 3 missed calls, but she showed me her phone, and the call log showed nearly 40. My sympathy was now waning a little, but I was trying to be supportive. Once Sally finished work, she managed to get through to Tom on the phone. He told her that he had to confess he wasn't a virgin and didn't want to corrupt her innocence, so he had to let her go. At this point, Holly took a really deep breath, stood up, muttered something about needing more coffee, and walked out. I sort of asked Sally if she was sure that's what he said because it didn't make sense, and she nodded really aggressively, calling him a jerk for tricking her. I was trying to be gentle, rather than just calling her out on her BS, because she hadn't slept and she was an emotional mess. So, I asked why she didn't just tell Tom that she wasn't a real virgin. That was a mistake. She started crying and yelling about being a virgin again and how her virginity is her decision. Holly walked in with coffees and teas, and Sally calmed down. She gave Sally her tea and gave me a coffee. I looked at her, because I don't drink coffee, and Holly knows this, and she just raised her eyebrows and nodded. I took a sip, and it was mostly whiskey. We asked Sally why she went to Tom's house. She said he invited her over to talk about them and work it out. My acute critical thinking skills tell me this is BS. Sally said he didn't answer the door and she got concerned that maybe something happened to him. Tom is clearly accident-prone as hell, apparently, and she needed to check if he was okay. Hence the climbing, because even though he's a jerk and she hates him, she still cares about him and needed to know he was alright. She finished work sometime between 4 to 6 p.m. and was arrested at 2 a.m., so I have no idea what she did during those hours. Probably built a lair with a map with lots of strings attached to photos with thumbtacks and newspaper cuttings stuck on the wall. It doesn't seem like we'll be getting a very clear picture of what actually happened from Sally, but you can piece together that she just went all Batman on his biz. Oh, and at least twice in the conversation, she mentioned she was worried she could be pregnant. Again, I'm betting on this being hysterical lack of sleep BS. So, Sally is asleep now, and Holly and I are day drinking. Everything has gone swimmingly. Lisa is away for the next couple of days and is blissfully ignorant of everything that's gone on. So that's all for now. Update 3. Figured I'd give some closure on the situation. Sally ended up sleeping for about 24 hours, and I'm not even kidding. She went to sleep, woke up briefly to raid the fridge, and then went back to sleep. She has a blurry recollection of what happened and doesn't really remember the bath or telling me what happened. I joked that at least she didn't remember me running her bank account, which she laughed at, so she's getting back to herself a bit. This morning I sat her down and asked what was going on. She told me that school has been getting really overwhelming for her, especially with work too and going to all her church meetings and volunteering. She got some study pills, which I'm assuming is Adderall, from a couple of guys at school to keep her awake to finish essays. But as it always is with Adderall, people tend to take it a little too far. Anyway, Sally's little pick-me-ups became a regular thing, and none of us noticed because we all get a little caffeine dependent during the school year, and she had a pretty screechy voice to begin with. She apologized for going loco, and I apologized for being a lousy roommate and not noticing she was struggling. We did a ceremonious flushing of the pills down our least used toilet, and now it's probably going to be our never used toilet because I managed to drop the bag in, and I think it messed up the system because it's blocked. We have a meeting next week with someone at school, I guess a counselor, who's going to talk about healthy ways of dealing with stress. It was just going to be Sally going, but she was nervous, so I said I'd go too. It can't really hurt to know how to calm myself down in a way that isn't booze. I asked Sally if she was going to talk to her parents about this, but she said no because, as I mentioned in some comments, they're very religious and their suggestion would be pray more. I have their number, though, and I'll use it if I need to. I asked Sally if she was pregnant, and her eyes widened, and she looked baffled. She actually said, "No, are you?" So we can equate that to mild psychosis and craziness. She also asked me if I think Tom would ever speak to her again, and I just hugged her and started laughing, so she hit me and went really red. Sorry, honey, if he comes back after that, you don't want him. So for now, we are back to normal, I think. Sally is still a little crazy, but in the constantly hormonal kind of way. Holly and I haven't had a drink yet today, and Lisa is still oblivious to all of this. She probably won't care, she genuinely doesn't like drama. I'd love to start a blog about us, as many of you have requested, but I'm pretty sure it'd never be as interesting as these posts.